Well, for one thing, we need to get away from this belief that it's not okay to criticize people who are living their life badly, who are abandoning
Exactly.
their kids, who are who are committing crimes, are not trying to become self sufficient.
You mean arrest people that are doing bad things?
Yeah, and
Why?
arresting people that are actually doing bad things.
Which brings crime down, like in DC, and now crime's dropping in Baton Rouge, and crime's dropping in other areas. Where once again, going back to the National Guard and the show of force and everything, actually arresting people that do bad things actually makes a difference, and not being afraid of the whole political correct bullshit, everything else on this thing.
Yeah, one of the things I love about Trump, what Trump did in D.C. and is threatening to do in other cities, is he really kind of has those Democrat officials over a barrel when you think about it. If they let him come in, then they will have to listen to a bunch of criticism from their party and from people activists within their area because they're cooperating in any way with Trump. If they don't cooperate with Trump when he comes in and crime goes down, then then they're kind of in a bad situation because if they don't let him in and they activate their police force like the state police or whatever, and crime goes down, well, why the hell didn't you do that months ago, years ago,
Exactly.
if you knew how to do it? Why did you have to wait for Trump to threaten to bring in federal forces to do it? And if Trump brings in the federal forces, well, then Trump had to come in and clean up your mess. It is a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation that no elected official wants to be in.
It's almost like they want to practice government just to practice government without actually using government in its best manner to protect and keep people safe. They'd rather them just walk in circles and spit at each other or chase their tails instead of, having any kind of efficiency whatsoever. I mean, it's kind
And
of like
you and I
today. I went to
both
the
know
city of Palm Coast. I
you
live
and
in
I
Palm
both
Coast,
know
Florida here.
yeah, you and I both
What?
know the reason they don't do anything about it is because they are afraid it will mess up some other thing that they're trying to do.
And also, continuous problems creates continuous solutions, which creates continuous paychecks.
Indeed, indeed, it is all about making money. If
I
you think,
mean,
why kill the golden goose?
yeah, I live in Palm Coast, Florida, and I went to the city a holiday because there was a code enforcement issue we had because we had a pool, and they were like, "Oh, you had to have a pool permit." And I went to this window, and this window just said, "Oh, you had to have a permit." But I said, "Okay, so how do I do that?" You have to go to this window over here. Like, where's that window at? She says, "This is right next to me." I'm like, "Oh, well, so you can only talk about the complaint of the permit, not talk about the rectification or the solution of the permit." She says, "Yeah, they give you the solution, I give you the problem." I was like, why don't we just have one person do both?
Crazy talk.
Because it doesn't work like that. I mean, and government is set up to where they had to have so many different, I guess, paid attendees or paid personnel. Or if you actually look up all the links of how much these people are paid, they're actually paid pretty good. And you and I both looked it up one time, like, just throw it out there real quick. An average city manager of like a city of like around 5 or 6 thousand people in the state of Florida is making around 130,000 a year. Not
Easily.
bad, really. And the same city manager of a city like Pensacola, Florida, with 60,000 people, is also making 100,000, 130,000 a year. It's kind of like and so I mean, maybe they're just fulfilling these positions to fulfill them. Basically, a lot of relatives are usually working at them, and depending on where you live, I'm not saying that blanketly anywhere, but theoretically, that could be a problem or a possibility. But the whole thing here is that the efficiency of the government fixing anything and solving the problem is not there, and so you have to go outside the government to do it. That's where the nonprofits need to come in. Not the nonprofits who are trying to victimize everybody, but the ones who are trying to create solutions for people. And that's one problem is that nonprofits have fallen into the same schism that government has. They just want to keep on creating problems and creating problems and creating problems. They don't want a solution either. And that's the problem here. Nobody wants to solve this damn problem here.